This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not an offer or solicitation of any offer to buy or sell securities. SNN.Network and Maj Soueidan are not licensed brokers, broker-dealers, market makers, investment bankers, investment advisors, analysts, or underwriters. We do not recommend any companies discussed. We may buy and sell securities in any company mentioned and may profit in the event those securities rise in value. We recommend you consult with a professional investment advisor, broker, or legal counsel before purchasing or selling any securities referenced in this podcast. Welcome back, everyone, to Avoiding the Crowd podcast with your host, Maj Soueidan. I'm Robert Kraft. I'm your producer for this show. I'm still, I was just in Palm Springs last week. I thought I'd stay there a little bit. So, with that, Maj, how you doing today, man? Everything good?
Great, man. Your background's always better than my background.
The
same white wall and chair.
You can change that.
I'm going with real. That's how really boring I am. You can see how bad.
No, this is good. No, this is good. This is what shows this is a true investor. I don't really care about this,
I love that, by the way.
I got my computer.
I want that right now.
Yeah. Oh, you're telling me, man. You're telling me. Well, anyways, Maj, always good to see you. Always get an update. Let me give everybody a quick overview of our agenda today. Not a long episode. We got a couple key topics that we want to get into. First things first, Maj is going to give us a little update on some of the things he's got going on at Geo Investing. And then we're going to talk about the Geo Investing weekly wrap-up where in the letter that Maj put out last night, we're going to be covering the topic. And it really ties into what we talked about last week, which was market volatility. No worries. Go check out the 4 and 4s. It's what Maj likes to do. And in this wrap-up, he talks about 3 stocks with heavy insider buying. So with that, Maj, you want to give us a quick update about what's going on at Geo Investing, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, Bobby, thanks for the intro. And I wanted to let you know that, I know you've seen this too, I guess, because you're on Geo once in a while. We're going to start doing more live interviews with CEOs that were interested in learning more about their companies. And we did one last week. We have one queued up for tomorrow, and we have one queued up for next week. And we're just trying to give our membership base at Geo a closer look at how we interview companies, how we prepare for them, and kind of the questions we ask. And our members get involved also a lot with the Q&A session. So we have about good maybe 50, 60 people on every one we've done so far. We did a few earlier this year actually too. So I'm pretty happy with the results so far, and I think it's going to gain momentum. So anyways, I'll just keep you guys up to date with how that progresses. Yeah, so basically last week we talked about 4 and 4s, Bobby, and not to beat a dead horse, I'm always talking about that, and it maybe gets boring after a while, but sometimes boring makes money. And last week we talked about 2 stocks, KRMD, a home infusion healthcare company, and PEIX, an ethanol products company. Full disclosure, I own both companies. And I'm not saying to buy or sell, just letting you know I do own them. I've owned KRMD for about 13 years now, and PEIX just really recently bought as a short-term kind of buy as I dig into the story. And KRMD stock had fallen sharply over the last 2-3 weeks of the volatility market. I think it came down from like $10-11 to in the 7s. And we talked about we got an interesting positive signal when in the 7s we saw Joseph Manco, a Microsoft activist who's been involved with the company for a long time, start buying stock. And he actually started buying stock originally, I think in 2014, maybe around 30 or 40 cents. The highest buy he made since last week's buys was, I think, 220. He came in to buy the stock in the 7s last week. So I thought that was a really bullish signal. We went in there, bought some stock, and we put a call to action out to our members that we were doing that. PEIX is going through restructuring, and we saw some insider buying going on there too. Both stocks went up since then, but hey, the market's going up too the last few days. So But it's good to see that maybe they put a bottom in the stock prices. So that, so that brings me to the next point. So I decided to continue going with that theme in the weekly email that we do every Sunday at Geo Investing. If we have this moment of volatility, why not keep beating this dead horse? If there's opportunity in this Form 4 type of activity going on with some of these stocks. And one thing we look for a lot, we have different signals we look for when we're looking at Form 4s. We like looking at companies going through turnarounds to kind of give us an idea of when is management really going to start backing up their words with money. Because a lot of times you'll see these turnarounds, you don't see any insiders buying stock. So we're looking for like these moments in time during turnarounds or during difficult times where we see management coming in and backing the truck up to maybe give us a signal. Maybe we're about to reach an inflection point or the company is itself in terms of growth in the turnaround. And so we talked about 3 of those companies this last Sunday, and I'm not going to talk about all 3 of them. And these are 3 companies I had not done fantastic with in my investing, and but I still watch them. And one of them, though, I will mention is LMB Limbach Holdings. It's like an infrastructure, construction management company, kind of like a NV5, ticker symbol NVEE, if you're familiar with that company. And I had made some good money in NVEE several years ago, and wanted to find the next one, and there usually is never a next one. But LMB was came public through like a special purpose acquisition corporation type of transaction, or basically reverse merger. And I've had really bad luck in those investing in those kind of companies. I usually don't do it. I think this is maybe 2016 timeframe or 17 timeframe. And we liked the story, we liked the management team, but there was some debt in the balance sheet, and there were some issues that occurred during the time I held the stock. Some misexecution, and in that kind of industry, you could have situations where project delays, or where management, for example, is under budgeted what a project will cost. So they end up not getting it done on time. They end up losing money on some of these projects. So you end up with these low margin situations. And I believe that's what happened with the company. We ended up selling the company, and I think we made a little bit of money in it, actually, because there were some warrants involved with the merger too that we also owned. This is quarter after quarter, they kept making excuses why they weren't doing so good, blah, blah, blah. But the management kept saying, hey, just stick with us. We're going to come out of this. And we noticed for the first time some really heavy insider buying going on in the last week or so. And we're not long the stock. We're not long LMB. I really want to take a deeper look at it and see if they've cured some of the problems they had. But the insider buying cue gave us a clue to maybe put this back in our research pipeline and see if some of the things that were wrong in the past have kind of been cured. So I'm going to take you through one of the things we look for is the first time we see an insider buy by a management team member, an open market buy, as opposed to options and awards and these kind of things. And there was a 33,000 share buy that occurred I think it was Friday after the close. I think the stock was up $1 today, wasn't it, Bob, here? Maybe, or up close to that. Let me see here. And and the nice thing about investing in microcaps is the information doesn't really get picked up right away all the time. So LMB closed today at up 83 cents to 826, hit 874, but opened at 763. So if you are a trader, which I'm really not, but if you were, I probably should have done this actually, but I didn't do it. And you could have made a little trade on some information, and the stock basically closed the previous day on last Friday at 743, opened at 763, and then goes on from there. So there's that little the Form 4 came out after the market closed, so everyone's going home. So probably didn't get caught by a lot of people. Maybe some of our members bought it. I don't know, because they got it. We told them about it last night. If they did, congratulations. if they were looking to trade. But so let me take you through the Form 4 and show you what I'm talking about here. And I'm going to be sharing my screen in a second. So we saw, just before I share my screen, on September 4th, actually, let me go back here. Let me pull up actually the actual email because it has the information in it, Bobby. Yeah, so we had the CEO, Charles Bacon, buy 12,000 shares at an average price of $662 recently. The CFO bought 4,500 shares at an average of $653. And the COO, Michael McCann, buys 33,995 shares at an average price of $744. And that was filed. That was the big one. That was filed on Friday. And so the significance of that, that's the buy that really got our attention. So let's go over to the SEC filing and look at what this meant to us. Just moving my stuff around here. Can I see you? You're muted, by the way. Okay.
I can see it.
Okay. You're talking when nothing's happening.
Right. I was giving you a thumbs up, man.
Okay. So here's the LMB. So here's the main page. You can see here. Click on the Form 4, and we see Michael McCann. And then if you click on the Form 4, actually even before doing that, we can click on Issuer. I think this is maybe happen over here. So you can see a list of all the Form 4 transactions. And but really we want to know, how many of these transactions were direct market purchases, how much of them were awards, So because we're looking for management teams that come in the market and buy the stock directly and not getting free shares. So we go to this page here. Let's go down here and see. Yeah. So we're looking for this transaction type column, if you can see it, Bobby, right? So the P stands for is what we're looking for in this transaction. That's a direct market purchase. The S would be a direct market sale, and that's just all institutional investor probably from the old SPAC transaction, probably just getting out of stock because of. Now that you have you come back here, you see now these are awards. Awards, A is award. Got exempt. These are all related to anything without a P is normally not going to be a direct market purchase. So if you see everything's been options, right, and awards and stuff. So let's go and see more about McCann, right? This guy right here. So let's click on him. And now we can see all of his. Is that right? Let me see if he's done that here. Hold on. I'll get it. Come on. Yeah, here he is. So here you can get all of his Form 4s from him if you want to see them all individually. And you can open them all up one by one if you want to. And you'll notice, but actually there's a way to. Here it is. Yeah. So if we go down here, we can start seeing again, Michael McCann's buys, right? And we don't see him anywhere. We see here he has all these awards, right? We don't see him down here. Now all of a sudden, for the first time, he's been with a company that I know that in the recent history, he's actually out here buying stock. So. With a 17, here we go. There are 3 purchases here: 17,000 shares here, 11,000 there, and there are 4,000 here. These three blocks right here. So the key here is that this looks to be his first big buy in a while, maybe if ever. If we can keep going down, there's going to be a lot of pages here. But if we wanted to go read every one of his filings, we could do that also by clicking on him here. let's do this, actually. Yeah, cool. So that link, when you click on his name, takes you to everything he's ever done. In this, I believe, yeah, there it is. So you can see that's the first time with LMB that he's ever bought stock directly in the open market. All of these are, all his transactions. He actually sold some stock here. So that's it. So that's basically significance. That's one of the things we look for. One of the positive flags we look for is first time an insider has come in to buy a significant amount of stock. And it appears that might be the case here. Now, to do a full analysis, I'm going to go back and look at, I'm going to over the last 3-4 years and see, if other insiders within LMB had taken big positions in the open market and what happened to the stock afterwards, if it was really a sign or not. But sometimes you'll be able to see a trend with some insiders that they call it right all the time when they buy, when they sell. But there is really not enough history with him to figure this out. So that's really it, Bobby. It was a quick kind of lesson on how to use a foreign force to see if this buy by Michael, how significant it was potentially for maybe a buy signal, or at least to go put it in the research bucket. And what's significant too is, again, it's about the turnaround too. We're looking for these companies that are,
right,
in the turnaround phase, or seeing if there's maybe a reason to get excited.
So real quick, the three stocks with the heavy insider buying that you were talking about this week, they were LMB, PEIX, and KRMD.
Well, last week was KRMD and PEIX.
Okay.
And they're moving up a little bit with the market. This week, I only talked about one stock. Well, we mentioned 3 in the weekly, but I only talked about one of them.
Got it. All right. So LMB, that's the one. All right.
Yeah, but the other 2 are actually also going through. I mean, I think, let me see. I can talk about them. I mean, one is IVFH Innovative Holdings, which is, I think, a MicroCap Club favorite, or used to be at least. The company's had a lot of. It's in the they source food. They call it direct to chef. They source food to the hospitality industry, or ingredients to chefs. And of course, they got hurt during COVID because of the hotel industry. And they also have an other side of the business, which is more of a direct to consumer kind of food, prepackaged food business, which probably is benefiting from COVID. But one of the issues they had in the past with the company was they made an acquisition, and so several years ago that didn't pan out to be too well, and the stock has never recovered since then. And there was some dilution involved with that acquisition too. So the stock is maybe. So I want to see if some of the insider buying that we're seeing here is a sign that maybe through that maybe the soft revenue performance from the COVID effect is bottoming, and maybe the direct to consumer business is really picking up. So it's fun, and I want to see if that assumption may be true. I'm curious because the stock might be cheap if that's the case. I actually like the CEO, although some investors didn't like him so much. And then there's GVP. GSC. GVP is a symbol. I think it's called GSC Industries, and they offer services to power plant. Really boring industry. I took a big bet in the stock a few years ago. It didn't work out at all for me, and I'm curious to see it. There was a botched acquisition there also, so I want to see if the insider buying going on right now is any indication to get excited about it yet. But that's where we're at. And I don't own GVP. I don't own LMB. Yeah, Bobby, I own some shares in IVFH also.
SNN, nor do I own any of the stocks that were mentioned today by Maj. Should I land the plane, Maj, or do you want to add any last minute thoughts?
And that's really it, man. That's it. I don't know. I am working on getting a couple of my analysts on with us potentially over the next few weeks.
Yeah.
Talk about a more of a risk portfolio protection piece, like a stock we're looking at, which. Because Geo has a background also in shorting stocks, and it's part of our history, especially in the U.S. listed Chinese companies. But then we expanded it to look at some U.S. companies. So not so much more in shorting, but more so much now the service we provide to investors, portfolio protection. Just letting them know if there's some interesting things going on that they should be aware before they, some risks to consider before they make a choice, a bullish choice in the company. So there's one company we've been working on for a while that is a pretty lengthy report. That I'm thinking about maybe discussing it on the program, and we have a little powwow between myself and my analysts about what we found. So it's one of those neutral things. We're not necessarily we're bearish on management and bearish on some of the shenanigans they played to go public, but I don't think it becomes a short kind of thesis. There actually might be some grounds for activism in it too. So it's going to be an interesting thing. When I was looking at the stock, actually the first short, when I got excited about it for a few seconds, this is before COVID, though, the stock has tripled since then, or actually doubled since then. So I'm glad it didn't touch it. And then as I got deeper into it, I saw why it didn't go down, because even though there was maybe some malfeasance in the corporate governance side of the coin here, then there were reasons it was going up. So we'll talk about all that and see how that works out. I'm not promising it, but I'd like to do it, so we'll see.
Where can everybody go and follow you on social media, and also to find out more information about GeoInvesting?
You can follow me on Twitter at Maj GeoInvesting. You can follow GeoInvesting directly at GeoInvesting. You can email me at maj@geoinvesting.com. Call me at 267-246-3263 if you ever want to talk stocks. And our website is geoinvesting.com, where we offer a 7-day free trial, annual, biannual, and monthly. And I will say, by the way, I just want to shout out to all our members out there. We're hitting some records in our membership base for subscription this year. So we're at a high. So I'm really proud of what my team's doing at GeoInvesting. So
very cool.
Hopefully we'll get more of you on board.
That's the goal. Again, I'm your producer for Avoiding the Crowd podcast with Maj Suedan on behalf of SNN.Network. You can go and listen to Avoiding the Crowd wherever you get podcasts. And the main website is avoidingthecrowd.podbean.com. You can also watch the video version of this at youtube.com/SNNWire. Follow me on Twitter at Bobby K. Kraft. That's BOBBYKKRAFT. And thank you all for listening. Maj, go Giants.
Okay. I'm not going to agree with that. Go Steelers.
There you go. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not an offer or solicitation of any offer to buy or sell securities. SNN.Network and Maj Suedan are not licensed brokers, broker-dealers, market makers, investment bankers, investment advisors, analysts, or underwriters. We do not recommend any companies discussed. We may buy and sell securities in any company mentioned and may profit in the event those securities rise in value. We recommend you consult with a professional investment advisor, broker, or legal counsel before purchasing or selling any securities referenced in this podcast.